start with all the lights, not cracked, bent, or broken. The three in the middle are the ID lights, which identifies the truck as the commercial vehicle. The outer lights are the clearance lights for the height and width of the vehicle. Headlights work as high beam, low beam, and then it has turn signals, which is a right turn signal, left turn signal, and they function as four-way flashers. All the lenses have no condensation, no moisture. They're all functional. Red in the rear, amber everywhere else. We will step back. We're checking for fluid leaks. If you don't see any fluid leaks, just tell your examiner there is no fluid leak. There's no hoses or wires hanging. The truck is not leaning to either side because that would indicate a suspension problem. If they ask you what type of fluid leaks, oil, coolant, power steering, windshield washer fluid, and hydraulic fluid. Now we're gonna open the hood. Remember, this one you have to unlock. Here we're gonna go to the battery box. On this one, your battery box, you're gonna lift the seat and the seat cover. And you would say the battery box is secure and fastened. The cables have no exposed wires, and your connections have no excessive corrosion. Then we're gonna go to the engine. Remember the Freightliner? The Freightliner, come on this way, over here. The Freightliner has nothing here. We're gonna go to the other side. Here we have the main air valve. The hoses are secure at both ends, fittings are tight, free of abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and there is no air leaks. Coolant reservoir, securely mounted, not cracked, bent, or broken, secure with nuts and bolts. It is transparent. I can see the maximum and the minimum mark. If I need to add, I will remove the cap and add the coolant reservoir. The cap is secure, not missing. Hoses are secure at both ends, fittings are tight, free of abrasion, bubbles, or cuts. There is no coolant leaks from the hoses, the fittings, or the coolant reservoir. The oil dipstick. Pull out the dipstick, wipe it, reinsert it, take it back out, make sure it's at the refill mark, and if I need to add, I would add it at the oil intake. This is the power steering reservoir, securely mounted, not cracked, bent, or broken, secure with nuts and bolts. It is transparent so I can see the maximum and the minimum mark. If I need to add, I will remove the cap and add the power steering reservoir. The cap is secure, not missing. Hoses are secure at both ends, fittings are tight, free of abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and there is no power steering leaks from the fittings, the hoses, and the power steering reservoir. Remember, the Volvo is not transparent, so you would tell them that you would check it at the dipstick. This is our steering gearbox, securely mounted, not cracked, bent, or broken, secure with nuts and bolts. The hoses are secure at both ends, fittings are tight, free of abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and there is no power steering leaks. We're gonna go to the steering linkage, which consists of the pitman arm, drag link, and the steering knuckle. They are not cracked, bent, or broken. They're secure with castle nuts and cotter pins. All the joints and sockets are not worn or loose, and then the bushings on both ends are not ripped, torn, or frayed, dry rotten, and properly lubricated. We're going to start with the suspension, which is the spring mount, securely mounted, not cracked, bent, or broken, secure with nuts and bolts. The leaf spring, securely mounted, not missing, shifted, cracked, or broken. It's held by U-bolts that are securely mounted, not cracked, bent, or broken, secure with nuts and bolts. Shock absorbers, not cracked or broken, properly attached and secure with nuts and bolts, and it's not leaking hydraulic fluid. Now we're gonna go to the braking system, so we're gonna start with the brake hoses. Brake hoses are secure at both ends, fittings are tight, free of abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and there is no air leaks. Remember, on the brake chamber, it just depends on your examiner. So then from there, you will go to your brake drum and lining. There is no cracks, no dents, no loose or missing bolts. It is not contaminated with any debris, oil, or grease, and the lining is not worn dangerously thin, no less than a quarter inch. If you have the Volvo, then you have disc brakes. They're self-adjusted, does not require a slack adjuster and a push rod. They consist of caliper, pads, and rotors, and you would say the same thing as your brake drum and lining. No cracks, dents, or holes, no loose or missing bolts, not contaminated with any debris, oil, or grease. But this time you will say the brake pads are not worn dangerously thin, no less than a quarter inch. Tires. The tires are properly inflated. I would check it at the valve stem with an air gauge. This valve stem is missing a cap, but it's not broken or leaking. Now the condition of the tires, the sidewalls have no abrasion, no bubbles, no cuts. They're evenly worn and they're the same type of tire. Minimum depth tread is 432 and the back are 232. I would check it with a tire tread depth gauge. These tires cannot be replaced. Rim, not cracked or broken, no illegal welds or no welding repairs. All the lug nuts are present. They're not bent, cracked, or broken. They're not loose. There is no rust trails or shiny threads that would indicate looseness, and there is no cracks around the bow holes. The light, not cracked or broken. The lenses have no condensation, no moisture. They're functional, red in the rear, amber everywhere else. The functions, turn signals and four-way flashers. Mirror, traffic monitoring device, including the ones on the hood, are securely mounted, no cracks, chips, no illegal stickers. It's secure with fittings and it's adjusted for me, the driver. We're gonna go to the fuel tank and the depth. For the fuel tank, there is no dents or damage. The cap is tight and secure. Your fuel lines are secure at both ends. Fittings are tight, free of abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and there is no fuel leaks from the fuel lines, cap, or your fuel tank. You would say the same thing for the depth, but you would change it to depth. Now we're going to go to the frame and the cross members. They're securely mounted. They're not cracked, no illegal welds, no holes or other damage from front to back, side to side. Here you will not do suspension brakes and tires. Here, if your examiner is okay, you're going to say the airbag has no abrasion, no bubbles, no cuts, fully inflated, it's not leaking air. Airbag mount is not cracked or broken, secure on both ends with nuts and bolts. Now we're going to go to our coupling. Red is the emergency for the trailer. Blue is the service for the tractor. They're both secure at both ends. The fittings are not cracked or broken. There's no abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and not leaking air. The glad hands are secured to the trailer, not cracked or broken. The seals inside are not ripped, torn, or frayed, or leaking air. The green one is your electrical. There's no exposed wires. The electrical plug and the pins inside are not broken or missing, and it is secured with a latch on both ends. Now we're going to talk about the airlines with the electrical. They're not cut, spliced, or worn. They're not pinched, tangled, dragging, or touching any part of your vehicle. We're going to continue, and we're going to go to the back, and we're going to point towards the back here. We're going to say the locking jaw is fully closed around the kingpin. Locking jaw and kingpin are not cracked, bent, or broken. There is no gap between the apron and the skid plate. The apron is not cracked, bent, or broken, and the skid plate with the tongue is not cracked, bent, or broken. There is no loose or missing bolts or pins, and is properly lubricated to prevent steering problems. Now we're going to go to the release arm. Securely mounted, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's in the engage and lock position with a safety latch. The sliding fifth wheel and the locking pins are not cracked or broken. Remember, this is the Freightliner, so you would say your locking pins are inside of the sliding fifth wheel. On the Volvo, you would say the locking pins are in the engage and lock position. Now we're going to go to the fifth wheel is positioned properly, so the tractor frame clears the landing gear and the mud flap during turns. The sliding fifth wheel airline is secure at both ends. Fittings are tight, free of abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and there is no air leaks. For this truck, this is your platform. So your platform supports the fifth wheel and it's securely mounted, not cracked, bent, or broken. All mounting bolts are secure, not cracked or broken. The trailer. Marker lights and reflectors, not cracked or broken. The lenses have no condensation, no moisture. They're red in the back, amber everywhere else. This is the marker light, securely mounted, not cracked or broken. Lenses have no condensation, no moisture, red in the rear, amber everywhere else. DOT reflector tape all across is secure, visible, and not missing. The landing gear, the legs, the pad, and the crank handle are all securely mounted, not cracked, bent, or broken. They're secure with nuts and bolts. The legs are in the forward raise position. Your crank handle is stowed and secure. Now we're gonna go to the frame with the cross members. They're not cracked, no illegal welds, no holes or other damage from front to back, side to side, and no missing floorboards. We're gonna continue in the back. Remember, this is up to your examiner, so if they tell you do not say the sliding chassis, don't say it. So for this one, you would say the sliding chassis is not cracked or broken. The release arm and the locking pins are in the engage and lock position. You will continue in the back. We have all the lights, not cracked or broken. The lenses have no condensation, no moisture. They're all functional, red in the rear, amber everywhere else. What are the functions? Right turn signal, left turn signal, four-way flashers, brake lights, ID lights, running lights, and ABS. And then we're gonna go to the DOT reflector tape, secure, visible, and not missing. We're done. DMV.